Of IPL will kick off this Saturday. The Chennai Super Kings will take on the Kolkata Knight Riders in a match fans are waiting for with bated breath. 25% spectators are now allowed in stadiums, which will be a new addition, looking at how the situation has been in the last 2 years. But IPL is also a numbers game, apart from, of course, the cricketing excitement. Take a look at the special report on the numbers game behind the Premier League.
In India, where cricket is a religion with its own brand of rabid followers, the IPL was always going to be a big hit. According to a market research survey by the International Cricket Council, the sport has over 1 billion fans globally, of which over 90% are from the Indian subcontinent alone. The IPL has been a cash cow for the Board of Cricket Control in India since it launched in 2008. In 2019, the league had a valuation of around $6.7 billion. That's higher than the nominal GDPs of countries like the Maldives, Bhutan and Guam. But it hasn't always been free of controversy. Spearheaded by the fugitive businessman and then BCCI Vice President Lalit Modi, the league was launched a year after the unsuccessful Indian Cricket League of 2007. Take for instance the Mumbai Indians, the league's most successful franchise with 5 titles. Mukesh Ambani-owned India Wind Sports Limited had bid around $112 million back in 2008 for a 10-year exclusive right to field the franchise. In contrast, the franchise rights for the newest club, Lucknow, were sold for a whopping 7,090 crore rupees. That's nearly $1 billion. It's clear that franchises in and of themselves are high-value assets, but that's not all that the BCCI possesses. The media and digital rights to broadcast the IPL are highly sought after. For the 10-year period between 2008 and 2017, Sony bought the broadcasting rights for 911 crore rupees per year. Thereafter, in a deal that culminates this year, Star Network paid a massive 3,270 crore rupees per year for the rights. And then there are the jersey sponsors, stadium sponsors, intellectual properties and ticket sales. But the numbers don't tell the entire story. The IPL has certainly been remunerative, but it has also provided millions of Indians with unforgettable entertainment over the years. So which club are you rooting for this IPL? In Mumbai with Rajat Banerjee, this is Alex Matthew for ET Now.
And the difference this time around is, as I mentioned earlier, that spectators will actually be allowed back into the stadiums. Of course, there's a limitation because COVID protocols are still in place to some extent. So 25% capacity has been set. There will be 70 matches over nearly a 2-month period in 4 venues across Mumbai and Pune. My colleague Disha filed this ground report earlier today.
Definitely, it certainly seems that for the next 2 to 3 months, all the cricket lovers will be glued on television because after 2 years, the IPL is back with a bang. And tomorrow on the first day, that's March 26th, we are looking at CSK versus Kolkata Knight Riders. These two are the teams that played the last final match, about 2 years ago, and they are the first ones to start off the match. But before that, we are updating on the ground level the preparations that is already taking place. We can see the banner already being put up of all the teams in concern, the logos that you can see. This is the gate number 2 from where, the audience will enter with their passes. And as you can see that the hoardings are up here at the Wankhede Stadium for the matches to begin. Especially if you talk about Wankhede Stadium here, it will have a capacity of 7,000 to 9,000 people. that is about 25% as per the COVID protocols. There's an IPL gate number 2 board as well. So for the cricket lovers who have really booked their tickets out here, the hoardings are out here to just let them know that this is a gate via which they have to enter. It's not only Wankhede, in other 3 stadiums as well, in Mumbai, Pune and Navi Mumbai, we are looking at matches taking place. So definitely after 2 years, the enthusiasm is back for especially the cricket lovers.
And as the cricket extravaganza begins, it's an important lesson to look at how IPL, its brand and its value has just grown over the last few years. Has it now reached a stage where it can be compared to global clubs? My colleague Jayesh broke down the data.
It's not just the popularity amongst the viewership, but it has over the past few years turned out to be a big money spinner, which is the entire IPL league itself. Now, if you have a look at the ecosystem, how it has transpired over the last few years. In 2008, when it started, it was roughly about $1 billion in valuation. That in 2013, scaled up to as much as $3.5 billion, and currently valued at about $6.5 billion. And as per a research report, it is also anticipated to touch about $7.5 to $8 billion going into next year or the next couple of years. So that is how big the entire ecosystem of the IPL has become. Now, talking about the popularity contest, there are 8 teams which are participating up until last year, and this year 2 another teams have been added to this particular league itself. Now, the most popular teams, namely Mumbai Indians, those carry a brand value of about 750 odd crores, and year on year, on account of the pandemic, we saw a decline of about 6%. However, Chennai was the hardest hit, where it lost about 16.5% in its brand value. As you can see, some of the others, teams like Punjab also losing about 11% of their brand value on account of the COVID-19 pandemic. But how does all of this stack up against global teams as well? If you have a look at that one, the Dallas Cowboys, Real Madrid Football Club, those have a valuation anywhere between $5 to $6 billion. And at the moment, the data that is available from the Indian context of things, you have RCB, Mumbai Indians, and Chennai Super Kings also, which trade at about $1 billion. So, essentially, these individual teams have turned out to be big money spinners and unicorns in themselves.
So exciting times for this year's IPL, not just in terms of the sport. Obviously, fans are very excited about it. The IPL finally comes home. But also as a business proposition, the IPL is expected to grow only larger this time round. And to speak on this, I'm joined now by Shriniwas Rao. I'm speaking with Harish Bijoor this evening, as well as Vivek Singh. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for joining us on the India development debate. Mr. Singh, let me come to you. We've been tracking this IPL journey since the pandemic. They had a bit of a tough time last year. They had to stop midway because of coronavirus, move to Dubai. Do you think the planning is better this year round, where it's not much traveling at all for the players?
Tamanna, I feel that Dubai was a challenge, but they managed that challenge well. This time the bubble is much stricter. The travel is much less. It's only in Maharashtra, and that to 3 venues. And yes, it's the travel where the leakages really happen. So I think from that sense, they've got it right this time. They've got it tighter. They've got it much more under control. And also, Tamara, learnings from last year will be very helpful for them. So if you ask me, yes, it's a good idea to have restricted the travel, restricted the number of venues, restricted the distance between venues, and they can then have a smooth and easier IPL.
Mr. Rao, what do you think is going to be the most exciting perspective about this IPL? And I will come in a bit to the kind of big monies that are expected, etc., and the rights for the next lot. But for you as a fan, as a follower of the game, what are the top highlights that you're watching out for?
First things first, the IPL is back home. I think nothing can be bigger than that. the IPL belongs in India, and it is finally back here. Of course, not taking away anything from the fact that it was a humongous effort on part of the BCCI to actually shift an entire tournament in the middle of a raging pandemic from one country to another. We heard about the last leg of NBA in the year 2020, the first year of the pandemic. The last leg of the NBA was held in Disneyland, and I remember the hoo-ha that NBA made out of it, and they made it into such a challenging thing that they were pulling off. So again, to pick an entire tournament and to shift it from one country to another in the middle of a pandemic was a great effort. But if you're asking me what is the best thing about this year's IPL, it's back here. And even if at 25%, there are spectators allowed in. So we are back to, kind of getting a feel of what we have been used to for the last 13 years. We're close to experiencing it once again. And remember that from a sponsorship perspective, this has been a brilliant year for IPL. So all of these factors combined, I think it makes this year's IPL truly special. And of course, the fact that we have two added teams now.
Teams, more money coming in for the franchises on ground, as well as more sponsorship for TV and digital rights. Harish Bijoor, the numbers are phenomenal for sponsorship this time round. And isn't that the kicker? Because no matter what's happening in the world, in the global economy, in the Indian economy, IPL seems to be in its very own economic bubble.
I think so. That's a nice word to use, Tamanna, an economic bubble of its own creation. Because for me, the IPL, every passing year means a bigger valuation. And valuation is represented by the kind of sponsorship money that does come in, the kind of team build that goes on deeper and deeper. I haven't seen a single IPL season without a controversy. I'm looking forward to this year's controversy because in some ways, controversy is a part of the DNA of the IPL. And I think it's survived, it's thrived, it's gotten big values, 1,000 crore property plus. And if you really look at deepening valuations for individual teams, brilliant. And 2 new teams. So 10 teams, nice compliment, looking forward to it.
Will you be watching out for the kind of sponsors that come in, Harish? Because last time round, there were a lot of crypto players who came and sponsored the IPL. And perhaps some of their current woes is because of the high visibility they got that time. But do you expect that trend to continue? A lot of new age companies cashing in on the fact that the IPL attracts so many eyeballs.
Yes, absolutely. Because anybody who wants eyeballs comes to the IPL. And if you really look at it, it's also about the passion of the sporting format. It's the the kind of entertainment value, because this really is cricketainment. So in terms of sponsor movement, I've seen a lot in terms of, right in the beginning, it's all about new wave companies. At a point of time, it was the e-commerce company. Then, of course, we moved on and got into tech for a little while. We got into the telecom company, every kind of a telecom company coming with an offering. We got into the crypto companies. Now we're coming with these super app companies. If you really look at this is a Tata IPL, and to an extent, it's Tata New. And to that extent, it's about the super app as well. So this will keep going on. And I think, the flavor of the season is what sponsors the season.
Coming back to just in terms from the sporting point of view, Mr. Rao, also exciting because 2 stalwarts will be playing but no longer as captains, Kohli and Dhoni. Is that what you're going to look for? And also, what are your favorite teams this time around who you think will really perform well?
Well, it's a new start. It's a new start for everyone. And, when the auction happened, I tried looking at the team, and there was this kind of a taken for granted thing that Lucknow, Delhi, and Punjab and Rajasthan have actually done the best at auctions, and they picked up the best players. I wouldn't think so. I would still say that Mumbai Indians did a pretty good job, in picking up a very good team. They don't look all that well-rounded now, but, wait for 22 to go into 23 and wait for Jofra Archer to join in, and they have a very, very good team. But I'll come to this later. First, about the captaincy, if, you asked me, big setback for RCB with Virat stepping down because, honestly, they have picked Faf right now as captain, which is a great choice in the given options that they had. But remember, he's 38 going on 39. He's not getting any younger. And even if this 1 year, if Faf were to lead the side, what is their plan B going forward? I still don't see what kind of grooming that they can do, in-house grooming that they can do from a captaincy perspective, unlike Chennai Super Kings, where they probably walked into this space with a much better plan, where, I personally, I see this as MS Dhoni's last year as a player too. I know if I say this on Twitter, I'm going to get a lot of backlash, but I see
Make
this
sure
as
we
a
call
last
out this clip on Twitter.
Yes, I see this as the last year for him as a player too, and this is a gradual transition. Remember, MS Dhoni is still the brand who he is, and the jersey sponsorship that came from CSK, it had MSD written all over it. And you know how CSK transitions from MS Dhoni not being the captain to MS Dhoni not being the player, and then going on to become stay the brand that they are. That is their exercise. Coming back to the teams, I still think I'm disappointed with Gujarat Titans, Sunrisers Hyderabad, RCB Bangalore, Royal Challengers Bangalore, to an extent Kolkata Knight Riders. But again, they picked a good captain. So not exactly. But other three teams, I'm pretty disappointed with the way they went about the auction. It was a level playing field for all.
Okay. The big story, though, honestly, is what's going to happen a week from now after the IPL starts. And that's, from the business perspective, when the rights come up for e-auction for the next 5 years. That's the big one, isn't it? Vivek, what are you expecting there? Major fireworks? And now there are big players who have prepared for that battle as well?
Yes, true. And they're big players with deep pockets. And like you correctly said, Tamanna, it's going to be a battle. I think digital is going to be a big story. Digital is going to, get as much as the traditional media rights can fetch for the BCCI. And that's where it really gets interesting, because how people are going to leverage the digital play, how people are going to leverage the OTT play is going to be a very decisive factor. I just wish that teams, that the companies don't go overboard. There is a business at the end of it. There's a business model that they have to adhere to. We've seen, Star make that clear already, that they're going to follow whatever business sense and guidelines that they have to follow. So it's very interesting, but I think this time digital is going to be king.
Harish, your comment on this, because at the end of these 5 years, did Star, Disney, Hotstar get a bang for their buck? And of course, this included 2 years of the pandemic. Is that going to set the benchmark of sorts of how bids go ahead? And now you have Sony Zee together going to bid. You have, the Reliance network also going to go very aggressively. Who do you think are going to be the top contenders?
Well, I agree totally to say that digital is going to rule, because, that's where, irrational monies are going to flow in from. But, on a physical format, to the first question that you asked, whether the existing guys who had the rights actually played well, did well, came out looking happy, I don't think so. Because I think, this was not business. This was chemistry, broadcast chemistry at play, game chemistry at play. And so I think, we need to treat IPL finally, after all these seasons, as a business. Because at the end of the day, it is business, extremely critical to be real and not build a bubble out of it. And that is a temptation we must avoid. I hope what happens next week brings in a greater degree of sense than what happened years ago possibly did not.
Mr. Rao, to you on the fight that is going to ensue, will this also sort of set the benchmark of how you monetize digital viewership to a higher extent? Because what other better way to test those waters than with a huge sporting event?
Of course, but first of all, I'll completely agree with Harish when he says IPL is business. I've always said this. IPL is just 30% cricket, 70% business, and that's how it continues to be. And what we're going to watch this year is a complete, tech is the catalyst here. Tech is the word, the key word, because technology is moving at such a fast pace. And, with the pandemic setting in and how it has changed our worlds, how it has changed our living rooms, how we consume content, not sports content, but, of course, I say this, that, in a country like India, traditional linear television is not going to disappear overnight. And sports is going to be a major catalyst in it, because appointment viewing, sports is the only platform. Live sport is the only platform that gives you appointment viewing. And in a country where last mile connectivity is so deep, I still think that linear traditional broadcast has a future. 15, 20 years, it's not going anywhere. we get to see these trends and we read it from what is happening in the West. But I don't think it applies to India. It's a very unique, very different country for the number of languages in which we consume sport, for the number of mediums that we consume sport. It's a very deep connect. Let's stick to the digital first. I keep saying this again and again, that in 2017, when Star went and made that 16,347 crore bid to back the IPL rights, what exactly caught our attention at that time? The pandemic wasn't there. OTT was still not in our living rooms the way it is today. At that time, what caught our attention was the way Facebook made that 3,900 crore bid. Mind you, Tamanna, there was a 5-minute delay in terms of the linear broadcast versus whoever would have won the digital rights. So you were paying that kind of money in 2017 for a 5-minute delay in broadcast, and Facebook was still ready to put that amount on the table. Remember, Jio, when we were looking at that time, Jio wasn't even the second highest bidder; it was the third highest bidder. The second highest bidder was Airtel at 3,300 or 3,400 crore. So at that time, this is the value we were looking for it. And look at the scale at which, digital has OTT, and look at the way technology has taken over. I mean, we are not even discussing things like smart TV. We are with a concept which is, already so popular in the West, which is customized viewing on television. You could be watching the same game. I could be watching the same game, and we are still watching different commercials at the same time, depending on, the thing. So these are elements that are going to come in. I can give you an idea of what the packages are going to be. There's going to be a television package. There's going to be, obviously, the digital package. This time, for the first time, what the BCCI is doing is they are putting non-exclusive rights for 20-odd matches. That includes the opening game of the IPL. That includes some of the weekend clashes, the big night weekend clashes. They're going to sell it. They're going to put that option forward of non-exclusivity of rights, where 5 different players can come, pick up those rights from a different medium perspective. And again, the consolidated players still can have the right to match with a huge delta. So, they're planning it very well. Why are they doing it? They're doing it because nobody understands the way tech is advancing, in what form it is advancing, in which way it is advancing. And what we are seeing here is people from an industry perspective trying to bring some method to this madness from a monetizing perspective. I'll also add this one bit again. Until now, cricket was a content game where I, as a broadcaster, would win the rights, charge 100 rupees from you, and give you cricket to watch. I think we are moving away from that. We are moving away from a broadcaster going to the consumer and saying, pay me 100 rupees and watch cricket. I think we are moving out to the fact that cricket merely remains a catalyst. Like me, for example, if I'm playing the e-retail game, I'm saying, my friend, watch the cricket for free, just buy the television from me.
No, so just to follow up there, Mr. Rao, who do you think are the top contenders for the auction for the next 5 years? Because, they're going to enter a trajectory which possibly will be much better than the last 5 years. Pandemic is behind us, hopefully. It will be very tight and intense contest. Who do you think are the top contenders in your view?
So people are saying that, the JV that's coming with Viacom, with TV18 in the mix of things, Qatar Investment Authority coming in to, kind of pick up a stake in the Viacom share. All of that is a very, very formidable JV. But people are underestimating 2 very, very, very obvious things here. One, Disney, a company with very, very deep pockets. Remember, if Burbank fails to, pick up the rights now, they are out of business for the next 5 years. Can they afford to do it? I don't think so. And when we're talking about a company with $102 billion market capitalization, I don't think we need to take them any less seriously than we are looking at the other JV. And we saw what happened to Sony the 5 years that they sat without IPL rights. They suffered massively on the engagement front. They couldn't. I think they still need a lot of work to be done on the OTT, from a Sony Live platform. But they also suffered on the television front. So this time they'll break the bank. Yeah. They will break the bank, and I think it's a good competition out there. Although I would not bring Amazon into this race. I think they're already out of it.
Yeah, Harish, you want to give us your list of who do you think will be the top contenders?
Oh, this is a deep one. This is a big one. This is a complex one. I'm involved in one of them, and therefore it would be politically incorrect for me to really speak anything about this. You'll forgive me.
Okay. I'm going to speak to you offline and get more details. But Vivek, you want to come in?
Listen, all three have some kind of attraction to play for. I just feel there's a limitation on the traditional side of how much you can charge and how much you can monetize. On the digital side, it's a big, multicolored rainbow out there. What they do with new media, how they leverage OTT. So that's where actually they're going to kind of get a little foolish, maybe, if I may be bold enough to say, and pay the kind of money that they should not be paying. But then, who knows? The next 5 years could be exciting, and we could be wrong, and the players could actually make the money that they are ponying up. They could make it back quite easily. So I think it's very interesting because technologies are changing, and the consumer behavior is changing. I think this consumer behavior change is what people are riding on. This consumer behavior change of leaning towards consuming more and more online will make the difference in a 5-year balance sheet that these companies are looking at.
Just to put in perspective, when Star went ahead and bought those rights in 2017 for an unheard of amount, it was seen as a slightly overzealous bid. In perspective, now the next round of bids is expected to be much, much heftier. So IPL is only growing. And I'm going to quote Shriniwas Rao here, who says it's 70% business, 30% sport. But all of it is entertaining. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on the show this evening as we get set for a new season.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, Taman.